Oh, it's in park.
She rolling?
Yeah, she's rolling, dude. That's no bueno, no bueno. sorry, Mrs. Truckmaster.
So you guys can see exactly where that thing broke, right at that part line. If you look at the new one, you see right where that line is down in there. That's the exact same spot the stock one broke at.
Okay, so this is super frustrating. I called Mark at Kodiak Truck, this guy right here, and I'll leave his information in the description below. If you guys are just stopping by and you don't know, he's a huge part of my channel. Usually when I go to Wisconsin, I go to Ryan and Kodiak, and we usually do a lot of collaborating on builds and stuff like that. I was talking to Mark on the phone, and he was asking me how the frame is going, and I told him everything's good to go. We have the engine, we have the frame, we have everything we need. The drive line's already done, the rear end's done, and I'm just ready to go ahead and start assembling. And then there was that really brief moment where he paused for a second, like something was wrong. And I'm like, what is up? And he said, Josh, you never told me that you were gonna put 2 turbos on that thing and build that thing up to 1,000 horsepower. That transmission will not handle the power. Now, realistically, the trans probably could handle the power, but I'm going to eventually fry those clutches, especially when those 2 turbos light and I add extra PSI and extra power, extra torque. As far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna bull that trans almost immediately as I put everything together and get on it. So I was like, so Mark, what am I gonna do? And he said, you're gonna have to bring the trans back to me so we can put hotter clutches in it. So unfortunately, I have to pull the trans out of the Wifemax and bring it to Wisconsin and do a sweet video for you guys, but we're gonna have to tear this transmission back down and he's gonna have to put better clutches in it. But this transmission is in no condition to be trying to handle the amount of power, the amount of fuel. I mean, I'm putting 2 fuel injection pumps. Of course, I just went with an AirDog 220. Then I have this big S480 from Ryan's diesel service that I'm gonna be putting in there, with the Valley charger being a 68mm Garrett. So before I start going crazy and pulling the cab, I'm gonna go ahead and call Kodiak Truck and get this transmission builder's take on why I need to pull the transmission and get it updated.
So when we originally built that trans and you put that truck together, it was kind of a Franken truck. I mean, it was a 05 or 04.5 LOI, and you dropped the LB7 in. Well, you never had the idea of going 1,000 plus horsepower with this truck. So what we put in there for clutches at the spur of the moment is what we had. They've worked great. Obviously, they hooked hard enough to break the stock output shaft when you were truck pulling that time. But then when you brought the trans back and I knocked it down and we put all the billets through it, I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. We need to really throw some hotter clutches at this thing. So obviously, Garen got us all dialed in with everything, and yeah, we pull it out, bring it on back. We'll open it up and we'll do the clutches in there and just look everything over. But I'd feel more comfortable putting hotter clutches in there to just know that now you're going to shoot for that 1,000, 1,200 plus horsepower number.
Yeah, and at the time you were telling me, you know, Josh, I wasn't expecting you to put 2 turbos on this thing and push it to 1,000 horsepower. I think this is definitely going to be our best bet.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you could have probably run it the way it was. I don't know if it would have held 1,000 horsepower. I mean, a couple of the clutch packs, they're okay, but they're great for 700 horsepower and less. You'd have never had a problem. And obviously you haven't had a problem with the clutches. The only problem you had was snapping that output shaft. Well, that tells me the clutches are applying and hooking hard enough to break hard parts. They're working good. But we're going into a whole new game now. You know, you add another 300 to 500 horse to it. We got all different rules involved. So that's where I feel we need to go back in there, and we're going to change clearances. We're going to run hotter clutches so that it'll take that kind of power, and it will.
So from my understanding, Garen actually updated their clutches in order to handle this kind of power. Is that correct?
So the clutches we're going to use in yours right now are going to be a combination of Robustus and Altos, both, and that's what we're going to run in that trans. I have had a lot of conversation with Dave, and quite honestly, feel quite flattered that of all the guys he deals with, he's got 4 sets of their own clutches they're coming out with. And he sent us a set that we're going to put in another trans that we're going to test here locally for him and give him feedback on. And Beard's going to handle that for us because he's our test guinea pig, as everybody knows. So we're going to build a trans for one of his dualies, and he's going to take it out and basically beat the snot out of it. And we're going to test the clutches, see how everything works, and then pull the trans back out, look at the clutches, and give Dave feedback on them.
Hey man, I really appreciate all your support and the team out there at Garin as well for, you know, us collaborating and getting this thing squared away. So, and it was funny because I remember you were telling me when I snapped that output shaft, hey, if you're not breaking parts and you're not making power.
Exactly. That's how the Beard and I met one day. Didn't know him from Adam, and I walked up to him at a truck pull after he snapped his drive shaft, and he was having a meltdown, and everybody looks at the Beard and think, man, you meet that guy in the alley, you'd rip your head off. And I looked at him, I said, you shut up and quit crying. And he looked at me, and I thought he was going to hit me, and I said, if you ain't breaking parts, you ain't making power, so quit your whining. 2 weeks later, the guy walked into my shop, and we met for the first time. It was pretty awesome.
That's a really cool way to start a friendship.
Yeah, I guess we both knew where we stood at that point, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, hey, I appreciate it. And hey, guys, again, if you're interested in checking him out, I'll leave that link in the description below, as well as use my discount code TruckMaster. It's going to save you guys 5% on parts, transfer cases, front differentials, transmissions, rear ends, etc. So we'll see you later, Mark. Hopefully I can make it to you soon so we can get this truck running.
You bet. We'll get you in here in the next week or two.
All right. One more thing, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. What we're doing is we're actually building a show truck. I just had the truck freshly painted. It's sort of a pink pearl, as you guys can see in the paint. The paint scheme on this one was an illusion violet. And of course we wanted to kind of add some of the accents into it. Of course I'm going to be reusing a lot of these extra piping right here, but we do have a twin kit from HSP here in the shop that we're going to be installing. But I have all the parts and pieces that I need. The truck's painted, the frame's painted. We have the big Miller engines built bottom end that can hold up to 1,000 horsepower. We're ready to go, guys. But with all that out of the way, I got a long day ahead of me. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this cab and see how far I can get into this video. All right, let's get this started. So this will be the last time that I start the Wifemax with this engine. It's kind of sad. All right, guys, so off camera, I think I got everything disconnected, but we'll see once we pick the cab up. But I think we got everything disconnected. So wish me luck. Let's do this. I think we're good. I think we got it. Now I just gotta get it up, like high. But yeah, doesn't look like I'm snagging on anything. Always makes me nervous though. So this is what's on the agenda for the rest of the video, because this actually took me longer than expected. I probably have about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours pulling this cab. But I have to, that looks sweet by the way, that powder coated drive shaft. That's going on this truck obviously. But I'm gonna go ahead and just remove the drive shaft, the transfer case, and the transmission for right now. But I'm probably gonna go ahead and just pull it all the way out, like as far back as possible to this wall. I'm just gonna hoist this thing out of the frame just to be safe. But it's always satisfying when I can pull a cab in my garage. This is such a blessing, man, seriously. Oh, and by the way, my rocker job right here, it held up. I was a little worried about it, not gonna lie. All right, I got it back as far as I could. Let's see if the door will clear. I need as much room in the front as possible. Oh man, this is getting close. Look at that. Woo. Plenty of room. All right, we're good. We're good. so far so good. I haven't dropped the trans, which is awesome. No one got hurt. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the converter out, put it in this bucket, and then go ahead and get this thing on pallet, and get it ready to be shipped out to Kodiak Truck, which by the way, I will be doing a video on, so stay tuned for that. That worked out. So we're done here. I'm so glad nothing happened. I got my fingers, toes. I think the only thing sketchy about this is the cab on the hoist, only because, let me show you. The way it's sitting on the hoist, I don't really have an option because this is an extended cab. So this is like, I don't even know if I can pull a single cab off of this or a standard cab, but dude, I have this cinched all the way in and this is as far as it goes. Check it out, like right here, I mean, I can't go any further. I spent a ton of time trying to maneuver this truck to make sure that I got it as close as possible, and I did, but if this is a crew cab, I would have had no problems pulling the cab, but this took me actually quite a bit of time to make sure that I had everything lined up. But man, let me tell you, I do have my work cut out for me, of course. This looks like crap. It's extremely dirty. I'm gonna re-wire loom every single wiring harness. I'm gonna clean every part imaginable on this thing because I don't wanna put dirty parts on this. I wanna make sure it looks good. And like I said, I want to try to build a show truck for the wife. So I'm trying to do my best with what I have here in the shop, but I think once I'm done, it's going to turn out really, really nice. For example, the idlers, they're still brand new. I mean, they only have like 300 miles on them. This AC Delco alternator is still brand new. And also this right here is new, believe it or not. This is a brand new hose underneath here, so I can still use that. Steering gearbox is only like 2 years old, so I'm not gonna replace that. That's crazy. But we gotta do something with these manifolds. Those are hideous. I am not putting these on the engine. No way. I'm definitely cleaning this up. This HSP powder-coated valve cover looks pretty sweet. And then all these lines right here are gonna be replaced because that's a no-go. That's not gonna fly. And another really big thing that I noticed when I pulled these up pipes, check this out. Man, so this gasket obviously failed on me, and as you could tell, it was leaking exhaust right on the back of that turbo, and I was wondering where that black smoke was coming from, because when I sit there and spool it up, you can actually see black smoke coming from underneath the engine, and I had no idea I thought it was a downpipe the whole time, but it was actually right here. The thing that I know you guys are going to be asking me, am I selling my AirDog 165 GPH? This thing has less than 500 miles on it. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it for a future project. Maybe I'll sell it. I'm not too sure. But it's so important to upgrade the fueling. This is an AirDog 220 GPH, so it's going to give me a lot more fueling. And the 165 is generally what most people use if they have a stock truck because they can always build off that lift pump. So if they want to put a bigger turbo on there, bigger injectors, whatever, they don't limit themselves to the fueling. Some of the guys will go 95 or 100, but you're sort of limiting yourself. That's how I look at it. So 165 is absolutely fine. Here's the deal, this project is now on hold. I'm gonna do as much as I can, you know, like getting all these parts cleaned and all the nonsense stuff that I don't need a video. Of course, transfer everything over to the clean frame, but I can't do anything until this trans gets, you know, completely knocked down and we get some updated hot clutches in there in order to hold all that extra power, that extra PSI, the torque, everything. So Mark and I are gonna be talking. He's extremely busy at the shop, but we're gonna come up with a plan to get out there and do some videos for you guys on this right here. Maybe some other cool videos, we'll see. But again, thank you guys so much for watching the content. It's really tough to be able to balance life. And of course, keep the YouTube channel alive, but I really appreciate everybody watching the videos. And it's just so cool that you guys could be a part of my life. I really appreciate you. And before I close out, this is your last opportunity to win the brand new set of heavy duty rough country tie rods. This will go from an 01 to a 2010, 2500 HD or 3500 HD if you have a GM or GMC pickup truck. But all you guys gotta do is simply buy a t-shirt or a hoodie, and I'm gonna be picking one random person. I'm gonna be putting that right in their package. And if you guys don't win something, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you. I'll throw something in there. You guys always take care of me. But that's it. We'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned.